What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. It is Saturday, December 18th. If you're watching with us on YouTube, youtube.com/pick6. You can check out the podcast live there. If there's a primetime game, like say a Saturday night Colts-Patriots game, that ends with the Colts beating New England 27-17 to end the Pats' seven-game winning streak. We go live after those games, whether it's Saturday. With it, we will not be live Christmas night, just FYI. But Saturday, Monday, Thursday, Sunday, whenever it is, prime
What
time
happened
games.
to no days off? No days off.
Well,
No days off.
Belichick should have won, Breech, and then we wouldn't be taking a day off.
Okay,
But he
fair.
lost, and so we take a day off. Also, if you're listening to the podcast on Spotify or wherever else you get your podcast, it may be Sunday, December 19th. And if you're listening on Spotify, they have now added ratings. So you can rate the podcast on Spotify. If you do listen on Spotify, please hit us with that 5-star review. I don't know if we're giving away a Brinson Sucks hat, but maybe we will. If you want one and you're in the YouTube chat, hit the like button. We get enough. Maybe Debo will be feeling generous, like the ghost of Christmas Debo or something like that. Anywho, joining me to break down this game, Ryan Wilson and John Breech. What's up, boys?
Hey, and hey.
Love spending Saturday night with my two best friends in the whole wide world.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how, and look, we cover
10.
professional, yes.
9.3.
I don't even know what you're asking, but it's probably a 10.
These are the correct answers, actually. My wife is not thrilled about the prospect of Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So the Wednesday, which is just a random day in the middle of the week where we're traveling anyway, and then Friday, which is Christmas Eve, are the only 2 days between Saturday, December 18th, and Sunday, December 20th. Tuesday, December 28th without football.
Here's the thing. I'm with AK in that I'm also angry that I have to spend all those days with you. I feel like she should be celebrating that Christmas miracle that she gets to, like, what is she thinking?
That's what I'm saying. Just send me up to the office and tell me to just sit up here and in my pants.
Go to your room.
Yeah.
She can go Christmas shop while you're podcasting.
By the way, shout out to
Shopping.
Breech. Shout out to Breech for going on a date with his wife and getting the babysitter for the first time. How'd that go, Breech? Let me ask you this.
First time. Oh, yeah, I guess your baby was born in a pandemic.
The first time we did that, my wife was like texting the babysitter every 5 minutes. How was your wife?
Well, first of all, this was the easiest babysitting job in history. You and Brinson could have done it from your houses because the baby goes to bed we put her down to go to bed at 7:30. And so the babysitter came over at 7:40. So all the babysitter had to do was make sure that the baby didn't like throw her passy out of the crib. Then the baby falls asleep within 30 minutes and then she's out cold. You make sure she doesn't start crying or anything crazy. But yeah, we decided we're going to go out, get drunk as possible after going out to a nice dinner. So that's what we did.
Congrats on
also,
we're lucky I'm co-parent right now.
Congrats on being a father of two, Breech.
Oh, good one. You got my joke there. Breaking news, Breech's wife is pregnant.
Okay, anyway, let's dive into the game. And I'm sure, good, fun, more analytics talk. What isn't better than analytics talk? Kurt Meberg, I think the two that he's probably talking about here, Kurt Meberg in the chat is asking about my terrible Twitter takes. And the two that I got the most flack for, one,
today or in your wife, because
right.
No, these are pretty standard flack situations. But in this game, I caught flack for two things. One, I said that when Kyle Duggar was ejected along with Michael Pittman, that I wasn't that surprised that Michael Pittman also got ejected. And I felt the videos that were floating around the Twitter sphere were not accurately portraying why both guys were ejected in that situation. And then I guess the other place will start. Although it does, does it? I don't know. Does it matter to talk about whether Belichick should have gone on 4th and 7 at the down? Was he down 20 to 7? Made it a 10-point game by kicking a field goal instead of going for it. Obviously, if he had gone for it
with 9 minutes left, and all his timeouts.
people
before we moved on to the fourth down thing, why did Michael Pittman get ejected? Do we have any resolution on that? Because I'm seeing just full disclosure, my son had a soccer game tonight at 9:30. Thanks for scheduling at 9:30. So I missed the middle part of the game. I'm watching the ejection. So why was he ejected for that?
The thing you're watching is like they're sort of in a fracas, and he pulls him down and rips his helmet off, right?
Right. Yeah.
But the part that you're missing from whoever may have posted that on Twitter,
PFF is what I'm seeing at.
Well, it's the clip that somebody clipped it and they're using it. Pittman actually shoved Duggar from behind that launched him in, and Duggar turned around and like shoved him back, and then that's when it turned into a melee. Or
you just use fracas and melee.
And like in the old days, it was always the second guy that got caught and punished. And so in that case, the Patriots player would have been the only one ejected. But now they send it back to the legal offices in New York and let them break it all down. And they're like, all right, well, he obviously got provoked here.
The legal offices. I love that.
We're getting
the league offices.
The legal offices.
Yeah, I mean, they said that they said this. I mean, as they're doing the replay, and by the way, it's a big bugaboo of mine, fracas, bugaboo, and melee, all in one. The first 7 minutes of the podcast. It really bothers me that the league is stepping in at really random times to utilize the eye in the sky and make decisions, and it's almost always in these primetime games. But they cut to Mike Pereira to ask what he thinks will happen, and he pauses because they're making an announcement because the league has made this like call immediately. And they
got it right.
They got it right. I mean,
so what are you thinking about?
People are mad that.
Why are you mad that the league got it right, even though they're doing it randomly? That's what I'm asking you.
No, I'm not mad at the league. I'm just telling you.
You just said that's one of your bugaboos. You just said.
Well, I think Brinson doesn't understand why he caught flack for this when he feels like he gave the correct opinion that both people deserve to be ejected.
Do you agree with the opinion, Breech? Should Pittman have been thrown out?
I mean, Pittman's definitely wasn't as bad.
Duggar's was worse because the helmet came off.
Right.
But
I mean, they
initiated the whole thing. So
here's what I do think is that they absolutely should have both been penalized. So you have offsetting penalties. And then I probably eject Duggar and not Pittman.
Okay. So Brinson's on an island.
No, because they both should have been punished. They both should have been penalized.
No, in terms of the ejection.
I would prefer,
because I can't find the video of him pushing.
Well, you would have had to watch the football game this evening to find that.
Knocking on my son too, by the way.
Dad. No, I based on how things went, and I understand that the result for what Kyle Duggar did was worse than what Michael Pittman did.
Well, here's a crazy picture I'm showing you guys of the punch. And just put it in Slack. I mean, that it deserves an ejection.
Well, we're just not going to. We're not going to freeze frame.
Right. Yeah.
We're not going to freeze frame football game fights and decide who gets ejected. The NFL, this replay.
You throw a punch, you get ejected. I mean, that's not a freeze frame. That's
watch it. Like Pittman threw punches too. He threw stuff to the. I don't care either way, man. I'm just saying that if you're going to have the league office review a fight to decide who is getting thrown out, then they have to take into full context everything that happened. They can't just take a screenshot from some dude on Twitter.
Yeah, right. But it sounds like they did.
And you know who won the ejection battle? The Colts, because the Colts were running the ball whole game. They need Pittman. The Patriots, that's one of their best defensive players.
Yeah, it was surprising to hear some people were saying, I don't know if they said on the broadcast, it was like, that's a bigger deal for the Colts than the Patriots. Like, no, it's not.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Like Pittman's going up against J.C. Jackson all night. Like, I mean,
Carson Wentz threw 12 passes in the game. There's no way losing Pittman. It's just preposterous.
So anyway, the other situation, of course, the 4th and 7. Wilson, you probably weren't watching it, but basically Belichick, they get down to the 2-yard line.
Yeah,
it feels very much like if the Patriots score a touchdown, the Colts are losing the game.
What's the situation? Is this after the Carson Wentz interception in the 4th quarter? When did this happen?
Yes, it was after the Carson Wentz interception. So the Patriots were up 20-7 after the pick. They drove down, as Brinson said.
20-7.
Yes.
The Colts were up 27. The Patriots drove down to the 2-yard line. They had 3rd and goal from the 2. They jump off sides. So now they have 3rd and goal from the 7. Mac Jones throws an incomplete pass. And now they have
not offside.
False start. Yeah. And now they have 4th and goal from the 7-yard line, trailing 20-7 with 9 minutes left in the game. Ryan Wilson, what do you do? Kick the field goal or go for the touchdown?
I'm going for it, but you know what's funny, Bree? Not funny, actually. It's predictable. Clarence G asked in the last chat that we had, whether in light of Brandon Staley's
aggressiveness,
what is Bill Belichick do in those situations? And you said in every single one, he's kicking. And that's so it's no surprise that he kicked there because that's what he does.
4th and 7 is I mean, I understand that you're down 13 points, but it did feel like one of those Belichick kicks, and then all of a sudden they score a touchdown, or and look, the Jonathan Taylor rushing, jailbreak negated all of this, but the Colts were like very much
on the ropes,
tight bottoming up. Like you could feel them starting to sort of panic a little bit. And I understand why you would go for it on 4th and 7 there. Have no problem if you'd gone for it. But if you kick and you have 3 timeouts, and what was the clock situation after?
Breech said 9 minutes and change. Is that right, Breech?
When they kicked the field goal?
When they made the field goal, it was 8:57, right?
Yes.
Yep. So 8:57 left. You know that you're going to kick the ball off. The Colts are probably going to run 3 times. You have all 3 of your timeouts and the 2-minute warning. I think in that spot, it's kind of close as to whether or not you're going to get 2 possessions. And given the way Carson Wentz had played poorly, given his tendency to make mistakes, he should have thrown 3 or 4 picks easily. I don't have a problem with putting the pressure on the Colts. Belichick's mantra, we heard it this week, is like, let everyone else make mistakes. Like, let them lose the game. More games are lost than won in the NFL.
Right.
Let your opponent lose the game. And that's what he tried to do, and it didn't work out.
And an important thing to remember here is like these percentages are the same no matter what. So if you're the Chargers and Justin Herbert's your quarterback, you're like, yeah, I'm probably going to go for this. You feel a lot more comfortable about it. If you're the Patriots and Mac Jones is your quarterback, yeah, the percentages are the same, but you don't have the same feel as the coach because this guy's already thrown 2 interceptions in the game and it's fizzled on some big plays. And I think the biggest part with Belichick is that he's thinking, you know what? My defense has absolutely dominated the second half. Up to that drive, the Colts had the ball 3 times and they had only totaled 30 yards. They could not do anything. So this is basically Belichick saying, I trust my defense more than I trust my rookie quarterback. I'm going to take the sure points, and I'm going to hope my defense can get the stop. And if you take out that 69-yard run, obviously the jailbreak run, and you can't, just take it out. But if
I think you fairly
if you take that out, the Colts only had 206 yards of offense. So that's why Belichick's thinking my defense can stop them, and we can win this game kicking the field goal. I don't think, this is one of those 50-50 things. I didn't think, he got way more flack than he should have for kicking this.
Yeah. And we knew he was going to kick it. Like, that wasn't a surprise.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, also, if you kick it, you then you're going to need a touchdown and a field goal to tie the game and send it to overtime. If you go for it and miss, you're going to need 2 touchdowns, and the game is probably lost.
By the way, this Colts game plan, whether intentional or not, feels like the Patriots game plan versus the Bills in the
except it was in a dome with no wind. Look, the Colts scored on their, I believe they scored on their first drive, second drive, excuse me. They scored in their second. They went 3 plays, 7 yards on their first drive, punt. They go 8 plays, 78 yards. Really, a really nice drive all around. Jonathan Taylor was eating a fantastic scoring play.
I saw that one.
That counted as a passing touchdown.
That was my first thought. Yeah.
Right. Which is hilarious.
And Jonathan Taylor did a great job as the lead blocker on that play for Naheem Hines.
But outside of that drive.
And they followed it up with that block punt touchdown, which means, again, the offense isn't doing anything.
Right. They had a block punt, 2 field goals, and the jailbreak late from Jonathan Taylor. The Colts were not – the Colts had I'm not trying to dog the Colts. They had a great – they played the Patriots about as well as you could.
Their defense played awesome and carried a lot of the water in that game.
And their special teams played great.
But that's why Belichick felt so confident in kicking the field goals, because he felt his defense had been getting big stops all game, and they would be able to continue to do it late.
And that Frank Reich was probably going to try to lean on his run game and his defense to win the game and to keep the Patriots from scoring. I mean, they shut out the Patriots for three quarters. That is really impressive.
I'll say this.
But at no point was the game over.
Right. No, that's right. And Breech keeps up with this stuff more than I do. I don't have, off the top of my head, I don't know how many close games the Colts have played and how many blowout wins they have. But I will say this. Like, they started 0-3, and we're like, oh, boy, here we go. Carson Wentz, yada, yada, yada. Both ankles injured. How does that happen? They're 8-3 since, and their only losses over the 3 games since they started 0-3 are to the Ravens, the Titans, and the Buccaneers. They're not losing dumb games. They're not losing 9-6 to the Jaguars. And their first three losses,
did
by
they
the
have
way,
double-digit leads in both the Ravens and Buccaneers games?
maybe they did. And their first three losses are to the Seahawks, Rams, and Titans. So again, they have no bad losses on their schedule. The Seahawks were certainly much better in week 1 than they are in week 15. So, and we've been talking about this for a few weeks.
They were beating the Ravens 25-9 in the fourth quarter.
There you go.
Yeah. That's
so
crazy.
We've been saying it for a few weeks now, but you don't want to face the Colts in the playoffs, and that remains the case. This is a good football team. I don't want to say in spite of Carson Wentz.
They had a double-digit halftime lead against the Buccaneers too, by the way.
But Carson Wentz hasn't been 2017 Carson Wentz. He's been somewhere between that and what we saw last year when he got benched for Jalen Hurts. Debo, where are you on the Carson Wentz saga? Are you, I mean, not as an Eagles fan, but if you're a Colts fan, should you feel good, worried, indifferent?
No, well, we officially got the first-round pick from the Colts tonight, so got to mention that.
Congratulations.
I would say I don't know if I want to call the trade a win in that case, but he's been up and down. He hasn't, I don't think, been anywhere near last year. I think he's been pretty close to 2019, which is what I said all along. I don't think he'll return to 2017, but if he can be 2019, that's a more than capable quarterback. Tonight was bad. Probably the worst performance of the season, but that's not what it's been like all year by any stretch. Take out those. I want to take out the first 3 weeks because he had no ankles. I've said it before. If you put through weeks 4 through 15, I'm taking that quarterback.
There you go.
Ironically, that quarterback destroying the value of Debo's first-round pick. But yeah,
but also giving them the first-round pick. There was a point where they were 0-3, and they're like, Carson Wentz. The Colts would be wise to sit him by week 8.
Would you feel bad taking a top 5 pick because Carson Wentz was essentially eradicated?
Why do you feel bad about that?
Debo's a sensitive fella.
He is sensitive.
Facts.
Debo, why are you so sensitive?
Facts.
Facts. You're sensitive, or facts? You would have felt bad taking that. You're like, I'm sorry. Just make it like 10th, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, give me like 11. Or
something
12.
else? Like facts is a thing that young folks say. I don't know, Debo, if you said this, but when I go to the Stanford, the young folks that I sit there with say crib a lot. Like if someone says Philly, do you say crib?
Like your house?
No, like
Annabelle's always like, I'm gonna go hang out at my crib, but it's her actual crib, so it makes sense.
No, I get it. Like if someone said Raleigh, you'd go crib, just like Debo went facts.
Wait, if somebody says your hometown, you just say crib?
Yeah,
I don't think that the olds are doing that.
I'm doing that.
I'm just doing that too.
I wouldn't say
crib. All right. Anyway, yeah, I think. I mean, obviously, I think the Frank Reich Carson Wentz marriage is a work in progress, but a work in progress in the sense that they've gone to therapy and they feel like they're on the other side of it. They're not going to get divorced. They're going to work through this. It's only going to get better. They're going to be more PDA, that sort of thing.
Well, and I mean, let's look. When Belichick goes to Buffalo, and granted, obviously very different meteorological conditions, but they go to Buffalo and they buckle down. And they run the crap out of the football. The Colts absolutely dominated the trenches on both sides in the entire first half and really the entire first 3 quarters. The Patriots had some nice runs, but the Colts were on fire. Darius Leonard was a monster in this game, had the interception. He deserves to be included in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. And I'm not just saying that because I bet it before the season. He really does. Like, he should be on that short list with was it TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, and maybe Trevon Diggs?
Maybe
Parsons.
Parsons.
Parsons. I just don't think Parsons will win.
Mike is ahead of Trevon, I feel like.
I think Parsons will win Rookie of the Year, and they'll vote for somebody else for Player of the Year. I just think that's how they do it.
By the way, just so we're M. Jones in the comments says Benson wrong as always. The game was actually over at 20-0 in the third quarter.
Yes, it was more than likely over at 20-0 in the third quarter. Thank you for that. Thank you for that astute observation. However, I would just point out that it did get to 20-17.
Got a little hairy.
So maybe not quite over,
Yeah, and you know what else is interesting is just how undisciplined the Patriots were. We always talk about the Patriots don't make those mistakes, and those mistakes are the ones the Patriots made here. I mean, we saw a blocked punt return for a touchdown. You don't usually see a blocked punt return for a touchdown against the Patriots, but you do see a lot of blocked punts because Jake Bailey is having just a disastrous year with that. There's only been 10 blocked punts in the NFL the entire year. 3 of them have come against Jake Bailey. No other punter in the NFL has had more than 1 punt blocked. He has 3. That's insanity.
Breech, let me ask you, who's that on? Is that on the punter? Is that on the protection? Is that on the...
You got to get out the hand timer. Maybe the snap's coming in slow. Usually it's on the punter taking 3 or 4 tenths of a second longer than he should have to get off the kick. So I would say in most instances it's on the punter, but if guys are getting in fast, then it could be the blocking. But
the Patriots
usually,
need?
but if it's happened 3 times, it's probably on the punter. Would be
The Patriots need Matt Araiza.
And maybe,
love Matt Araiza.
Maybe.
I gave Breech a
that...
shout out on Friday's morning HQ when I talked about he has like 2 80-yard punts. I think he has double digit 70, not double digit, must be like 6 or 7 70-yard punts and like 16 or something.
Little different though, kicking in San Diego than Foxborough in.
How dare you, Breech?
In the winter. I'm just saying. And then the other thing was, the Colts missed a field goal on their first possession of the third quarter, but then the Patriots jumped off sides and the Colts got to try it again and they made it. And so that's 3 free points. We saw at least 2 dropped interceptions, one by J.C. Jackson, one by Jamie Collins. And so those are 4 just kind of game-changing mistakes that you
anti-Patriot stuff too, where
you don't usually see this stuff from the Patriots.
Right. Yep.
They had a bad game. It's okay.
Oh, show.
The win probability for the Colts was in the high 80s, basically the entire second half. And then when the Patriots scored that touchdown, it jumped up to, or it dipped, I guess, to around like 56%. So
let me ask you guys this, because you
were a little
watched
dicey there late.
You watched most of the game. I saw the first quarter, and then I saw the second half of the fourth quarter. I missed the middle part. I was surprised to see Mac Jones had thrown 2 interceptions. I saw the interceptions, and they were not great, but not like Zach Wilson interceptions.
So you weren't watching when you saw the replays, right?
Right, exactly.
All right. So the first one was bad. He didn't see Darius Leonard.
Right. He just didn't see him. But it wasn't like but go ahead.
Because I think if you'd seen Darius Leonard, you put a little bit of air on that, and it's still, there was a defender behind. It was Johnny, right? I think. What did Johnny Smith back there? Maybe Hunter Henry?
Yeah.
Either way, one of the tight ends. It
was Hunter Henry. He was throwing it too.
Okay. So yeah, Hunter Henry, massive game, by the way. He just didn't see Darius Leonard. And Leonard made a great play and then stole someone's soul by jamming them into the ground and bouncing their entire body off the turf like a basketball. On the next one, when the second one happened and the Colts are rolling and they pick off Mac, the entire world rushed onto Twitter to be like, like text messages, be like, Mac sucks. He is who we thought he was. This guy, like, this is why they're hiding him. That is so. It's like so predictable.
That was an insane play by Bobby Okereke.
Exactly. And why can his name not be Okereke? But yes,
you don't want to make that throw in hindsight for sure.
Mac was late on the throw, but that's a really good defensive play. That's not, if Mac is earlier, it's complete. But that is more on the positive side from the defender than the negative side from Mac, in my opinion.
And the other thing I'll say is that when he came back in the fourth quarter, that was a fantastic touchdown to Hunter Henry.
Oh
with Darius Leonard,
dude, he didn't step into it, and people were like, he doesn't have the arm strength.
And in the first quarter, he threw that bomb to Jacoby Myers to hit him right in the arm down the sidelines, and he missed it. It happens, whatever. But
I mean, he was jumping up, and I know I'm a Jacoby Homer, but he was, it wasn't like it wasn't a freebie. Just get your arms out.
But he also had an ugly throw on the 4th and 1 in the third quarter.
That was bad.
I mean, maybe bad play call, bad everything. But you can't just throw a ball away like that on 4th down. You got to give somebody a chance somewhere.
The
Breech bringing the hate.
I'm Team Mac Jones, Wilson.
I will say this about Mac is that the narrative coming into this game was Mac is probably the offensive rookie of the year, but he has not dragged the Patriots to a win yet. And obviously he did not drag them to a win tonight. But I feel a lot more confident after, like a sort of a moral victory type of thing. The way Mac played in that second half, down against the defense playing as well as the Colts were, and making some of the throws he made and engineering those drives in a really hostile environment in a standalone primetime game in late December in an AFC playoff race, I feel a lot better about how I think this game will end up being a net positive for Mac Jones as the Patriots get towards the playoffs.
And here's the other thing you have to think about. What's this going to look like in 2 or 3 years with him? He ain't going to go backwards, you don't imagine, unless something crazy happens. You imagine he'll continue to go in the right direction. I don't know what's going to happen with Zach Wilson. I have no idea. Trevor Lawrence is going to get better because they obviously cleared that situation up. I would imagine Justin Fields will get better, but again, we don't know who the coach is going to be. We don't know these things. But Mac Jones, Josh McDaniels, maybe he goes to Jacksonville, but even still,
McDaniels had a bad night too, by the way.
So yeah, I'm not worried about Mac Jones, and he's a rookie. This is his first really bad game. I think he's had a multi-interception game. He may have thrown 3 interceptions early in the year, but
yeah, he had some uglier games early in the year. Look, people get guilty as charged. Honestly, you get in the draft season, you get a little worked up about arm strength, but we've seen plenty of guys. I mean, Tom Brady didn't have a cannon arm. I mean, he's a 6th round pick for a reason. Drew Brees had a strong enough arm at Purdue, but he wasn't, Josh Allen coming out of Wyoming. These guys get to the NFL, they become professionals, they work at their craft, and they get stronger, and their arms get stronger, and they're more confident in throws too. And so I don't know. Sometimes I think I'd rather try to. It's hard. It might be harder to teach a young quarterback how to process correct decision making than it is just to like boost somebody's arm strength.
And by the way, he's not in a wheelchair. Like in the first quarter, before I had to leave, he ran for 10 yards. He's mobile. Breech, I'll ask you because this is in your wheelhouse in some sense because you live in Nashville. Are the Colts the new Titans in terms of letting the running back drag teams up and down the field now that we're almost in January?
I mean, that's what it feels like, and that's a team you don't want to play in the
playoffs.
playoffs.
Hold on, Breech. Yeah, it was a good question, but let's take a quick break, and when we come back, Breech will tell us: 1, is Jonathan Taylor the best running back in football, and 2, are the Colts a dangerous sleeper in the playoffs? So, Breech, is Jonathan Taylor the best running back in football, and are the Colts a dangerous sleeper in the AFC?
Does that include if Derrick Henry's healthy or?
Yes, he's 100% healthy.
If Derrick Henry is 100% healthy, I'm probably taking Derrick Henry. I mean, you look at he played so well. Right, he was the NFL rushing leader for like 3 weeks after being injured. I mean,
who scored? How many touchdowns? It was like 17 touchdowns now. How many touchdowns does he have?
He played so well early in the season that the Titans literally could win the #1 seed because he carried them to such a fast start. I mean,
that was just my question about Jonathan Taylor. I'm asking, would you rather be
by the way, Devo has the MVP odds up on the YouTube's channel. And if you're watching on YouTube, smash that like button. Let's get the likes up. We'll try to give away a hat.
Hit it gently. Just make sure it likes.
Tap it a couple times. Do not bet Jonathan Taylor to win MVP, please. I know that chorus is happening, and it happens after every big game he has, and Carson Wentz did nothing.
Well, I will say that Jonathan Taylor has less support because if teams go all in stopping Derrick Henry like they try to, Ryan Tannehill usually can make them pay. And that's one reason why the Titans are so successful. And as we saw tonight, Carson Wentz struggles a little bit with that. I mean, he comes through with big throws occasionally, but if Jonathan Taylor struggles, usually the Colts aren't going to win. And I mean, you just look at his numbers. They're 8-0 this year when he rushes for over 100 yards, and they're 0-6 when he doesn't, because they're not winning games when it's put on Carson Wentz's shoulders. And so that's something you worry about if you play one of the best run-stopping teams in the playoffs. As a Colts fan, you're like, well, now Carson Wentz have to win this for us.
If you have a Jonathan Taylor to lead the league in rushing ticket, it was probably, I don't know, 10-1 max, right?
So, Breech,
you're feeling pretty good about life.
Actually, I'm actually going to back off Breech here. So, Jonathan Taylor had 17 touchdowns last year, 16 the year before. Right now, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, I'm sorry, Derrick Henry did.
Sorry. By the way, if you're looking at YouTube right now, the top 5 guys in terms of rushing yards in the NFL this year, all second-round picks. I think it's interesting.
Who's number 2 there? Joe Mixon.
Anyway, Derrick Henry had 17 touchdowns last year, 2020, 16 the year before. Had 10 through 8 games. So, Breech actually may not be wrong. Like Jonathan Taylor has 17 as we sit here through 14 games, and he'll probably get to 20. That feels reasonable.
Yes, you're probably.
In a 17-game schedule, which is bonkers. But Derrick Henry is clearly an integral part of that offense. I feel like Jonathan Taylor might be more important because I have more faith in Ryan Tannehill right now than I do in Carson Wentz.
I would, yeah. I mean, if you would much rather put.
Yeah, you didn't ask me. You didn't. You said who's the best running back in the NFL. You didn't say who's more important.
Brinson said
more important. Who's the best? Are two different questions.
I asked you, are the Colts the new Titans? And I'll be more specific. If you're if you're the first, second, third, fourth seed in the AFC, would you rather face the Titans or the Colts?
Do the Titans have Derrick Henry?
Yeah, he's 100%.
I would probably. Is my team really good at stopping the run?
Well, it doesn't matter. Both these guys are really good.
There's nobody who's really good at stopping the run.
I would probably, if the Titans are 100% healthy and Derrick Henry is playing, I would probably rather play the Colts.
Colts defense is better in terms of helping you.
And that's the trade-off there, is that the Colts defense is better and Jonathan Taylor is awesome, but Carson Wentz is a way step below Ryan Tannehill.
Is he a way step below?
I mean, I don't think he's in a conversation.
Okay. He's with 5. Well, I guess Henry had a bad game too, but without.
I mean, if you had to take a quarterback right now, are you taking Ryan Tannehill or Carson Wentz?
All right, let's do it this way. Let's say Wilson and Breech are doing a draft, which we love to do in this podcast. There are only 4 players available in the draft. Breech, you have the first pick. You can choose from one of 4 players.
Oh, I love this draft.
Ryan Tannehill, Carson Wentz, Jonathan Taylor, or Derrick Henry. Wilson gets the next 2 picks. Go ahead.
Ooh.
Oh, man. You're killing me here. Killing me, Smalls.
Very obvious answer.
I hope. Please take a quarterback because I'm taking 2 running backs and you're going to get stuck with Carson Wentz.
You know what? Here is what I am going to.
You must start 1 quarterback and 1 running back in this scenario.
Take it.
The one big difference, and we're talking about this year, if I am drafting for the future, I'm taking the guy who's 22, not the guy who's 27.
No, I'm talking about for
this playoff.
The playoffs. And we're assuming Derrick Henry is back for the playoffs. It's been reported he'll be back week 18.
He said he'll be 100%. Quit complicating it. Talking about 10-year-old.
I mean, the obvious answer is you're taking Ryan Tannehill, and then you're taking the running back that comes back to you.
Or are you?
I mean, I'm definitely taking a running back.
I was going to say.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right,
but I get 2 picks. So
you would rather have your choice of running back between Henry and Taylor.
But Brinson,
if my whole playoff team is there and I need a quarterback and a running back and I have these 4 to choose from and I get the first pick and then whatever Ryan leaves me with, I'm taking a running back.
You have to, but he has to because it's a snake draft. Because I'm going to take, if he takes Ryan Tannehill, I'm taking 2 running backs. Oh, but no, he said we have to, Brinson said that we have to.
I'm saying yes.
Yeah,
you can either take a quarterback and you're going to get whatever running backs left. Or you take a running back and you get whatever quarterbacks left.
We each have to have both positions filled.
Yeah.
I can't.
Okay. So he can't take both running backs.
Right.
Correct.
I can't.
Okay. Also, then I'm taking Ryan Tannehill. I'm taking Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, exactly. You're definitely taking Tannehill.
The difference between Tannehill and Wentz, there's a gap.
Look at Divas.
I'm just trying to say.
Thank you, Devo.
We act like Carson Wentz has thrown 30 picks.
And he hasn't.
No.
He's 23-6 right now. Like,
well, here's the thing, though.
Whoa.
They're
Whoa. See, the one thing you're leaving out here is that Tannehill's played his last 5 games without Derrick Henry. We need 5 games of stats without Jonathan Taylor. I mean, that's
if you could kindly look up Jonathan Taylor's last 5 games, that'd be great.
Don't do that, Devo. Don't worry about these jerks.
I could look up Ryan Tannehill with 4 picks versus the Houston Texans. I could show those stats
without Derrick Henry.
Hit the dunk button.
Why don't you show us Carson Wentz's numbers from last year? Carson Wentz from last year.
So what is
Tannehill from last year?
You know what's funny? Breech leads the league in trying to respond and getting dunked on, and we can't hear him. Like every time he tries to rebut.
Dunk flying.
I'm taking Jonathan Taylor. So you're going to get a reunion between Titans players.
You just got Colts versus Titans. That's fun.
Hey, you want to get the dunk button ready because you know who won when Tannehill and Henry played the Colts twice this year? The Titans twice.
Who are you taking with the second pick, Brinson? If Tannehill goes first, I think you're taking Jonathan.
Well, I mean, you're stuck with Wentz either way.
That's what I'm saying. So which running back are you taking?
They're both healthy. I mean, I think Jonathan Taylor.
Right.
I think Jonathan Taylor's the best running back in football right now. Do you know how many rushing yards Jonathan Taylor has over his last 6 games?
1,000, more than 1,000.
I'm going to say, I'll say the over under. Not looking at 750.
Okay.
Breech, are you going over or under?
Over.
Yeah, the way Brinson. The way Brinson.
I'd go over on
869.
Dang it.
That's insane.
Ridiculous.
Hey, Debo, do we have? I hate to ask you this. But
wait, here's a fun Jonathan Taylor fact.
Hey, am I talking? What are you doing?
Is it Jonathan Taylor related or he's changing the subject?
I'm going to ask Debo something, and you can give your fun fact.
Oh.
If I could reach to the screen, when I see you, I'm going to slap you the next time. I see you in January.
The last time you saw him, you nut punched him.
I did. What's the capital of Bangkok? Oh, dang it. I got to punch myself when I do it that way. Debo, do you have the draft picks that we did for the Super Bowl? If you don't worry about it.
Our listener has the Colts.
That's why I was going to ask the question before I got interrupted by.
Oh, right. The Colts would have been, like I thought about taking the Colts instead of the Saints, but I was like, I hate Carson.
All right, go ahead, Breech. What's your fun fact?
Oh, my fun fact, there's only been 5 games in the NFL this year where a running back has gone over 170 yards. Jonathan Taylor has 3 of them. Every other NFL player combined has 2. That fun fact is courtesy of our CBS Twitter account.
What's the capital of Thailand? That's what it is. I can't believe I messed that one up.
Yes, because Bangkok is the capital.
What's the capital of Bangkok? What kind of morons?
You could follow it up with like, what's the capital of Bangkok? These nuts.
There you go.
So
he lived there.
With this loss by the Patriots, they fall to the number 3 seed in the AFC. Kansas City stays at number. We'll do this first. Here's the draft we did. C-Rad and the 3 of us did a draft. Wilson takes Packers first. Looks
God, C-Rad is crushing it.
Yeah.
And he won the poll when the Brinson poll came up. So everybody knew what they were talking about.
So that's November 16th. It was on Instagram. So that's golly, that's a month and 2 days ago.
Month plus ago. So, all right. We're gonna rehab. So we're talking about the Super Bowl draft we did. If you listen to the podcast, you know about it. Snake draft, 4 rounds.
The Super Friends in a
Super Bowl to the winner. The winner takes it all. Whoever wins the Super Bowl. Wilson goes Packers 1. I don't think that you would. I mean, you could.
Let me just say this quickly. So we did this November 16th, and
the worst pick here is Breech going Bills 3.
C-Rad got the fan vote at the time of having the best draft. Then, 3 weeks ago, I had edged into the lead, and now we'll reevaluate after Brinson tells us who has who.
Wilson went Packers, Ravens, Patriots, Panthers.
Jeez, oh pizza.
C-Rad went Bucks, Cards, Titans, Colts, which
what a home run.
Outstanding. Breech went Bills, Cowboys, Chargers, Bengals.
Pretty good.
And I went Chiefs, Rams, 49ers, Saints. And I should have gone Colts instead of Saints.
I think I went from first to last.
You've got 3. The Panthers is a disaster.
Lamar's hurt, and the Panthers are just an X. Breech has the Bengals, who are still in it, and the C-Rad with the Colts is a absolute home run.
Well, I think the thing I like about mine, and to this point, C-Rad's, is I feel like we're the only 2 who have a legitimate chance of getting all 4 of our teams in the playoffs. Obviously that Bills isn't a great first round pick in hindsight, but
you want to
still feel good about them getting in the wild card round, and that's really all that matters. You want to get as many teams as possible in.
So it feels like
with the Patriots losing, you actually do have a chance to get 3, maybe.
I think C-Rad and Breech are plus 50% to get 4 in. You and I
was looking at division winners. So you're hosting 4 playoff games.
You and I are getting 3, no doubt, Brinson.
Yeah, we're getting 3 max, and I've got the 2 teams in the NFC West who are chasing.
But C-Rad and Breech have a better opportunity to have more teams in there to help their chances.
Correct.
Yeah. But let's be honest, the Bengals ain't going to the Super Bowl.
What?
Bengals probably winning the Super Bowl, right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
At any rate, I don't think you would change. Maybe you go Bucks instead of maybe you go Chiefs. I don't know.
It's funny. People in the comments actually like my draft, and I feel less good about it than I did 3 weeks ago. The last time we revisited the picks.
Okay, so playoff picture. The Chiefs are 1. Titans are 2 now at 9-4. The Colts are just, I guess, 1.5 back. When I get
they're 8-6, and so the Titans play the Steelers. The Steelers, for some reason, have played really well against the Titans.
I think the Steelers win that game.
Let's
say the Steelers win that game, and the Titans are 9-6.
Imagine that.
And the Colts 9-5, and the Colts are 8-6.
So they're game out.
Well, 1.5 because the Titans.
The Colts have to finish a game ahead of the Titans because they can't tie.
Right. So even if the Titans lose against the Steelers, which I actually think will happen,
I don't know why people think that's going to happen.
It's just the perfect setup. This is a perfect big out of nowhere game.
So the Titans still play the Texans, so they already lost 2-1. So it's not like it's impossible to lose to. But if they that's what I'm gonna say. If they beat them and lose the rest of their games, so just beat the Texans, lose everyone else, that means the Colts have to win their final 3 games to get in. To win the division.
Colts are at Cardinals, Vegas at home, at Jacksonville. And by the way, the Jacksonville's going to be the favorite. People are going to be on the Jacksonville bandwagon now that Urban's gone bye-bye.
And now, and so if the Titans go 2-2 in their final 4 games, they win the division. Like that's how simple it is for
so
them.
Beat the Dolphins, beat the Texans,
or beat the Steelers, beat the Texans, beat the 49ers.
Sure. If the Titans win this week against the Steelers, the division is probably over. It would take a pretty epic collapse, and I trust Mike Vrabel not to let his team do that.
Yeah.
So Tennessee's still the favorite to win that division. Indianapolis, though, I mean, left up to the 5 seed, they're just live as hell in the playoffs.
But we're talking about the Titans-Steelers game. If the Titans win that, they're the top seed going into week 16.
Breech, quit trying to dunk on the Steelers. Worry about your own team.
Yeah, okay, we'll go back to the Colts, though, at 5.
Yeah, do you see those teams in red up there, Breech? And then go down to the 9 seed, the team in white.
What?
That's the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, well, if the Bengals win tomorrow, I'm pretty sure they are in a good spot.
It's just so wild to see the disparity between there's a 7-6 team that's the 10 seed in the AFC,
and they'd be the 6th seed in the NFC.
And that's the crazy thing is that if right now the Colts are the 5th seed, you could have 5 teams tied at 8-6 if the Browns win, if the Chargers already lost, so they're already 8-6. If the Browns, Bengals, and Ravens, if the Browns and Bengals win and the Ravens lose, that means you have 5 teams at 8-6.
Let me ask you this before we move on to the main melee, if you will, Wilson, in the AFC. The Colts are 11-1 to win the division. Would you dabble at all? I don't think so.
No, because as Breech noted, they have to win out and hope for the worst with the. I was actually wondering, so what's the limit, like at the sports book, for minus 2,500 on the Titans to win? I mean, you can't bet $10,000, I would imagine, right?
I probably can.
Oh, okay. Because
it depends on what sports book and who you are.
That feels like not a layup, but it feels like a free throw, and you're a 95% free throw shooter.
Whoever's doing that is probably just buying $10,000 for the Bitcoin.
I don't want to get sidetracked, but just give me the 10-second answer. How are the NFTs going for you and Debo?
It's a holding pattern. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So anyway, back to the AFC playoff race that Breech was describing. NFL NFTs are launching. Just get you another glass of wine, Wilson.
There you go.
So the Pats at 9-5, the Bills at 7-6.
Well, if the Bills beat the Panthers, then they play the Patriots next week, and they're right back at top of the division if they win that game.
Yeah, but let's talk about this. So the New England played their worst game of the year, and it's probably not even close. And they still were sort of in it on the road against a pretty good Colts team that no one wants to play. We keep talking about in the playoffs. Is anyone jumping on the Bills bandwagon among the 3 of us?
I mean, talking about taking them to win against the Patriots next week, or doing some damage in the playoffs.
Go further in the playoffs. They don't even have to win the division because they're a game and a half, 2 games, game and a half back right now.
I think the Bills are actually a really interesting futures bet because they are 14-1 to win the Super Bowl and 6-1 to win the AFC, plus 165 to win the division. I'm fine with whatever. You can bet that. I think they're going to smash the Panthers on Sunday. And then it comes down to, can they go into Foxborough and beat Belichick, which they definitely can. We've seen them do it. They did it last year. Obviously a much better Patriots team, but 14-1 is about as low as they've been in a while. And I mean, they're going to have to win. I mean, everybody but the 1 seed is going to have to win 3 games to get to the Super Bowl. They just have enough upside on both sides of the ball where if it clicks, they could make a run. So I would want to bet that. Maybe it's down after the Patriots lost, but I would want to bet that to before they play the
What's the number?
14-1 to win the Super Bowl, 6-1 to win the AFC.
They're my preseason Super Bowl team to beat the Packers, I think is what I had.
I don't think you want to bet if the Bills beat the Panthers 35-7, they're going to be 12-1, 11-1, 10-1.
And you know nothing more about the Bills than you knew before that game started.
Right, exactly. So if you're going to bet the Bills, bet them now.
Yeah.
The win total that I loved over 10.5. I cannot believe this is going to lose.
It is pretty crazy. They played some pretty terrible football.
I mean, they're just going to lose because that effing Jaguars game.
So
That's
right
why it's
now,
gonna lose.
the AFC wild cards are the Colts, Chargers, and Bills.
AFC is tough, man.
You think that sticks?
It's funny. I was looking up the playoff odds for the Bills right now because, I mean, there's no guarantee they're going to make the playoffs because they have the Patriots in 2 weeks. I don't know what's after that. Or they have the Patriots next week, I should say, so before tonight's game, the Bills, according to our buddies at Football Outsiders, their chances to make the playoffs were, you want to take a guess?
75%.
Yeah, 65.
Golly, 74.7. Well done.
Wow. That was
Even
actually
at
not
7-6. So okay, good for them. The Patriots are 99.7, so they're going.
But Wilson, and this is what Brinson was talking about last week, is that the Bills' schedule, they have the Panthers, Falcons, and Jets. That's 3 of their remaining 4 games.
Right.
So I think that has a lot to do with their high percentages.
They're gonna make the playoffs.
Here's where it gets sort of interesting. Teams with the same record. The Browns, 40%. The Bengals, 27%. So that's a function, as you guys noted, of the records that these 3 teams have, and I'm including the Bills in that conversation. Let me look at the Broncos real quick. The Broncos at 7-6, 25% chance. So basically, these 3 teams add up to slightly more than the Bills' playoff chances at 75%. They have like 85%. Yowzers! All right, Buffalo. So you're going to be in. That feels like not a guarantee, but a pretty good bet. And then that leaves the Chargers at 6. The Chargers feel not like a lock, but feel pretty good. Obviously, their schedule's a little tougher, but I'll ask you, Breech, because you're the optimist when it comes to Ohio teams possibly having a chance. The Chargers are at 86%, to make the playoffs. So is there a chance that the current 5 and 6 teams, or 6 and 7 teams in the AFC don't make it?
The Chargers played the Texans in Week 16. I highly doubt they're going to lose that game. I think they go 1-1 at worst against the Broncos and Raiders. So they're getting to 10 wins. It really feels like the Chargers are absolutely getting to 10 wins. It feels like the Colts are getting to 10 wins. And so then can the Browns, the Bengals, one of those teams get to 10 wins? Because it feels like, we just talked about the Bills schedule and that being easier. It feels like they have a much easier path to 10 wins because the Browns and Bengals have such difficult schedules to close out the season. And this is my bold prediction from a week and a half ago. I still stand by it. I think the wild card stays the same. And the only thing that changes of the current AFC playoff standings, I think 6 of those 7 teams end up in it. And the only difference is the AFC North winner is not going to be the Ravens. It might be the Browns. It might be the Bengals, but I do not think it's going to be the Ravens.
It's funny you say that because I was actually looking at the division odds for the Browns and the Bengals. And the division odds for both those teams is lower than it is to make the playoffs outright. 29% for the Browns, 18% for the Bengals to win the division. In fact, I was talking about their total playoff odds earlier. The number I was reading, the chance to make the wild card is only 10% for both the Browns and the Bengals. So the division chances is better in that sense.
Are you guys?
And by the way, just for the record, I mean this is not. I would not declare this an official playoff scenario or anything. But I just went to the ESPN playoff machine and ran through. I gave the Bills a loss to the Patriots and 3 wins against the bad teams.
Yeah.
And then gave every single AFC playoff contender a good win, like the best possible win they could get. And the Bills still are the 7 seed at 10-7. So I think if they go 3-1, they should be pretty good to get in. Clearly there are some scenarios out there where they could get screwed. But I mean, the way this shook out was Titans 1 at 11-5. Pats 2 at 11, and I guess I'm messing up the Titans game, probably against the Texans. Oh yeah, there we go. Anyway, yes, Pats 2 at 11-6, Bill Browns 3 at 11-6, Chiefs 4 at 10-7. I mean, if you get to 10-7, you are probably getting in the playoffs. But you could potentially get hosed on a tie.
Well, that's the thing with the Cleveland and Cincy. They could get hosed if they get to 10 wins based on the teams in front of them. And by the way, this is sort of best case scenario for the Steelers. They need to finish last in the division, get in the middle of the draft, first round pick, and then think about a quarterback. So,
or best case scenario for the Steelers is getting to 10 wins and then they sneak in because they're 10-6-1.
That's a terrible idea.
Are you guys secretly hoping the Bengals don't make the playoffs because they'll be talking about it all the time?
I'm not secretly hoping. I'm outwardly hoping.
Or do you want them to make the playoffs because they'll lose in the first round and then you can just laugh at me? Which one is it?
I want them
don't-
to make the playoffs and then Zach Taylor or Belichick win Coach of the Year.
I don't want them to make the playoffs because I don't want Breech to be happy if they do win a game.
That's true. I don't want Breech to be happy, so that does inform my decision making.
So Scott Kazmar on Twitter did an interesting fun fact here. When do you guys think the last time a team won by 10 or more points with fewer than 50 net passing yards?
Was it the 2002 Texans Steelers game?
It was not.
Dang it.
But yeah, it was a while ago. It was more than a decade ago. It was in 2010 with Todd Collins and the Bears beating the Panthers.
Todd Collins.
So it has been 11 years since we've seen a win like the one the Colts pulled on the Patriots
2010.
tonight.
Jake Del. Oh, that was Jimmy Clausen. That was the year before Cam got there.
Correct.
If I recall correctly.
Correct.
That is so.
One of
That
the
is
worst
that's what
teams
we're
you'll
talking
ever
about here.
watch in your entire life.
Second round pick, Jimmy Clausen, by the way.
And they
Teams
traded,
not
they
usually-
traded a future first to get him in the second round.
Yowza.
We're not going off on this tangent. This is the Saturday Night Football. We have a lot to unpack over Sunday night, Monday night, and Tuesday night. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. Did we get we didn't quite get the likes for
Come back tomorrow.
We'll do 2 tomorrow, maybe. Or maybe 1 Sunday, 1 Monday, 1 Tuesday. See you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. For Wilson and Breech, I'm Brinson. We will talk to you guys later.